G'day everyone, welcome back in my shed. I'm BC, back for another Saturday of exciting adventures. Okay, a few new acquisitions. Steve, my offsider here, a couple of weeks ago, saw me showing this light, and it's not too bad. But I did have the old flexible unit that Aldi had, so he goes down to Aldi the next week and procures one of these for $20, so I did the same. Magnetic in the base, and that's one place that I've had failures in the past. The magnets come loose and the thing flies around. But for $20, I can't complain at this. I have to call this a real hard worker. Nice and flexible, so you can stick it up on machines, point it down from the lathe till post and see what you're doing. It's also a very good background light. When I'm filming, I can stick it to a upright around the shed, and it just hangs about doing what I want. So fantastic, $20, that was a very, very good purchase. The big exciting moment, Windows has decided to obsolete my old JVC camcorder, and I did get last week's video up onto the net, but it took about 3.5 hours. I had to upload a legacy program and then transfer it to the legacy program into their new photo editing, which I don't really like. It's not comfortable. And 3.5 hours to put up a 12-minute video, that's BS. So I bit the bullet. I've been talking about this for a long, long time. I went to DigiDirect, brand new Panasonic, wonderful camcorder if I knew how to use it. That I hope will happen over the next few weeks. But it's got a lot of the bells and whistles. It's got a very big sensor, so I should be able to pick up a lot more detail for you. And surprisingly, it can focus right down to about 3 inches off the job. So we may be able to get some very, very good grinding videos right up on the workpiece, which is the only way you can see what's really happening on the job. So far I didn't get a separate charger with it, so I can only charge the battery while it's in frame. Spare batteries are not a real go for the moment, but I'll get used to it, and I believe that there are macro lenses available for it, so we'll be in for a little bit more right up on the job filming. But yeah, good acquisition, $989 plus about 18 delivery, I think. So DigiDirect, it's the same place I bought the little camera clamps, etc. Always a good deal, always good on delivery. I can recommend them, but that's the exciting moment for me. It'll just be a few weeks before I get up and running. Okay, I'll take you out to show you some more taps in a chemical bath, and then onto a bit of machining. Bye for now. Here we are back again, and part of our work from last week. These were horribly filthy when I got them. I think they're all carbon steel taps, but as I don't have much in UNC, I don't mind. Any donations are better than having nothing. Quite surprised. I don't think they've seen a lot of work, if any. If I look, I've got 2 light sources here, and I can see a couple of little shiny bits on the cutting edges, but nothing where the tap works. And I think these little marks are just dings from having so many taps, so many hard tools just thrown in a box. That is what you would expect to see. But down on the cutting edges, I just can't see damage. So I think they must have come out of an automotive shop. It's all Whitworth or UNC, and very, very old taps. Greenfields from the States, some are made in England, nearly all corroded away on the bloody nameplate area, so you can't see what it is. But no, quite a good collection. I don't wire brush them up in the threads, because all you can do is take the edge off the cutting teeth. I may get a brass wire brush onto them later on if I can find one. But quite a good stash. I've got some more that were more encrusted with crud, soaking in the citric acid. We'll have a look later on, but a lot of these old taps are reasonable material as long as you don't try and do too much with them. They're good for cleaning out threads or making the occasional thread, but not as good as high-speed steel, of course. But hey, at 0 cost, I'm quite happy about that. Okay, we'll move half a metre to the left and look at a little bit more of today's work. Okay, what we have here is the back end of an old MIG torch and the back end of a new one I hope to replace it with. The original power cable is this furry piece of yuck here that was originally mated. Down with this piece. New torches, $400 might cost, and after freighting it up from down south and putting on a margin, it's going to frighten the customer. It's about 5 times the value of his welder. And normally I would just reject work like this and say, so sorry, scrap the machine, but he's been a pretty good customer to me, and it's going to take me half an hour to find out or fail. That's, you know, not all that much. Interestingly, I have a new torch base over here, which is on a new MIG torch. There's a quick look at that. And I thought it was going to be an easy run. Normally these threads are 10 by 1, which is a standard brass electrical thread, but this is 12 by 1. Also a standard fine, but not one I have a tap for. So I'll be putting this adapter in the lathe, taking that off, machine it off. I'll drill it 11 mil, and I'm going to try and use a 10 by 1 tap I've got to tap it to 12 by 1. And I have, what I'll show you up in the lathe, I have a Morse taper tap driver for the tool stock, a tool post rather, and I should be able to hold a drill chuck in the front of that and use that to hold the tap. May work, may not. I could just be butchering a piece of brass, but I'll work on a piece of brass stock first before I do the job. That way if I bugger it up it doesn't really matter. Okay, bring you back when I'm set up over at the lathe. Okay, I'll try and get a shot without my hand getting in the way. What I'm going to do here is reduce the rake on the front of the drill so it won't bite into the brass and pull itself in. I've always thought I'll just give it a try this once, and a few times just pick the bloody chuck up or pick the brass up and turn it around in the lathe chuck. So I learnt my lesson. Now the idea is to reduce the angle created by the spiral inside the flute of the drill to 0 at the front, and you only have to take a couple of thou out, and that's usually enough to blunt it. And all I use is a hand dressing stone, lay it down on top of the cutting edge and give it half a dozen wipes, and then you can see that there's a slight shiny part there, which means I've blunted the edge on the drill. Just roll it over for the other side, come in with the stone again, and you can feel when it's laying reasonably flat on the cutting edge. So just wipe it backwards and forwards like that, and that's the drill modified for brass. You can just pick up the shiny part on the start of the cutting edge, roll it over, same on the other side, and that should be good enough. Okay, my brand new lead light has already failed. Every surface on the lathe, including the tail stock and the headstock, is curved, and there's 4 magnets in it, and I can't get the bloody thing to stick. Oh well, you live and learn. Back soon. Okay, we're back on the old Mazak mate lathe. The workpiece isn't really trued up in the chuck, but it doesn't matter. I'm just making a test piece. I'll run the drill in about 1 inch, try and thread that, for which I'll bring you back, and then see if it fits. Okay, I just want to drill in a little bit, get ready to tap. Well, so far so good. I'll just put a bit of tapping shite on the drill. Not that it needs the cutting fluid, but I think it just might help a bit with chip evacuation. Well, it's coming out quite good, although I've got to say it's very free cutting brass to cut out from chips like that rather than tiny swarf. Okay, that's half an inch. There it. 3/4 of an inch. There it again. And 1 inch deep. So, old Loco 1, YouTube 0, dubbing the drill like that does work. Bring you back when we're threading it. Well guys, here's a 4 on my sword. Sorry about the shaky hand, but I had to get it off the tripod to get up close enough to have a look. I was chasing the dial, I thought quite well, but I think when I was backing out from the cut to get the tap out of there, I was backing out too far and the other side of the tap gouged all the thread off. Well, Nathan said today he's got a 12x1 tap I can borrow, and I'll try and get that off him when I'm at the club. So, yuck, fall on sword, big fail, have some lunch and look at the other taps I had cleaning. Bye for now. Back again guys. I changed the job, had a bit of a bad taste in my mouth after failing on that brass bit. Nathan's going to lend me his 12x1 tap, so next weekend that job will be finished. So back onto the axle box horns for the Loco. It seems that when I made them I just didn't do a very good job. Not 100% square, and you don't have to be too far out for the axle boxes to bind up. So I'm taking a little bit out with this wonderful little indexable end mill. As you can see, there's a whoopsie I touched off a little bit too viciously in the middle. But it's brought it up to a reasonable accurate part. I think that's going to get the axle sliding up and down a hell of a lot more freely. I was going to remake 2 of these, but I think it's going to be quicker just to adjust those that I've got. The more I look, the more I can see the errors, so it's easy to do. Okay, that's all for the weekend. If you're fresh in, please like and subscribe, and hopefully get back to a bit more brass work and some grinding next weekend. Bye now.